Fuck out of here, Nethertails. Fuck out of here,
And I used to be such a nice guy.
Nethertails will be live soon, reading some fucking books.
Nethertails, motherfucker, man. Nothing is impossible. Just do it.
Nethertails, let's read some fucking Dracula.
It's like that book. You ever read that book in school?
Check out these ghost comics, bro.
Dude, Nethertails is pissing me the fuck off.
Nethertails will be live soon, reading some fucking books.
Yes, he's got a nice, sexy, deep voice.
Stay a while and listen.
Nethertails, let's read some fucking Dracula.
It's like that book. You ever read that book in school?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Check out these ghost comics, bro.
Fuck out of here, Nethertails.
These ghost comics.
And I used to be such a nice guy.
Nethertails will be live soon, reading some fucking books.
Nethertails, motherfucker, man. Nothing is impossible. Just do it.
Some music. Thank you. Today we will be reading a short story. A little break from our Russian friends. Just means we're going to last longer. Hey, mister. How are you? How's the acting going? Hope's going well. Gotta have a little break from our Russian friends. Just said that. Too much Russian names. Let's derp on some other types of names. We will be reading The Yellow Wallpaper, which is a short story by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Good and horrible. Slightly nervous about pronouncing and the accent. It's fine. Valentine emotes. Hey, Death. I don't know. Do it the derpiest way possible. I don't know. Sure, it's going to be fine. Can't be much worse than I would do. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer, a colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house, and reach the height of romantic felicity. But that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I would proudly declare that there is something queer about it. Else, why should it be let so cheaply? And why have stood so long unattended? John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in a marriage. John is a practical in the extreme. He has no patience with faith and an intense horror of superstition, and he scoffs openly at any talk of things not to be felt and seen or put down in figures. John is an asshole. John is a physician, and perhaps, I would not say it to a living soul, of course, but this is dead paper and a great relief to my mind. Perhaps that is one person I do not get. Perhaps that is one reason I do not get well faster. More moving stuff. Nice. You see, he does not believe I am sick. And what can one do? I am a physician of high standing, and one's own husband assures friends and relatives, and there is really nothing the matter with one but temporarily nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency. What is one to do? My brother is also a physician, and also of high standing, and he says the same thing. So I take the phosphates, or phosphites, whichever it is, the tonics, journeys, the air and exercise, and I am absolutely forbidden to walk until I am well again. Personally, I disagree with their ideas. Personally, I believe that congenital work... No, not congenital. Personally, I believe that congenial work with excitement and a change would do me good. But what is one to do? I did write for a while in spite of them, but it does exhaust me a great deal, having to be so sly about it, or else meet the heavy opposition. I sometimes fancy that in my condition, if I had less opportunity and more society and stimulus... But John says the very worst things I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. I think I need an update. I don't see them. Oh, I see them. Oh, McGee's here. Hey, McGee. Thank you for the fire. I was thinking about you, dude. I was thinking about... making you a Spanish king. I've actually been writing some stuff. Sort of with your voice in my head. Can't be good. But if you would like to do it, I'd be glad to write you a thing as well. One of those short animations. McGee is a Latin queen. I got Trovo on phone again. Oh, nice. No, not at all. I'll put some of your king, damn it. Yeah, I'll put some of your things in there, man. I have just the perfect guy. There's even a dude that had I'm not going to say it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. There's a guy that used to fight with his wife, and I think it would be hilarious. You would shout there, and then Mystic would come and say, "No, no," and then you know, just a couple of frames, "No, no," and then disappear again or something. We'll see. We'll see if it works. We'll see if it works. Hopefully it's going to make some sense. In my head is awesome, but I don't know. I don't know if it works in anybody else's head. Ooh. Delic with some stay safe. Thank you for the stay safe. I don't know who Delic is, but thank you. Let me continue the story. Okay. I sometimes fancy that in my condition, if I had less opposition and more society and stimulus. But John says the worst things I can do is to think about my condition, and I confess it always makes me feel bad. So I will let it alone and talk about the house, the most beautiful of places. It is quite alone, standing well back from the road, quite 3 miles from the village. It makes me think of English places that you read about, for there are hedges and walls and gates and a lock, and lots of separate little houses from the gardeners and people. Ooh. Thank you for the... Something happened. Ah! Maniac gifted a sub. Thank you, Maniac. Thank you. Now you know Delic is a sub. No. Yeah. Where is my sub thing?
This is one time where television really fails to capture the true excitement of a large squirrel predicting the weather. I, for one, am very grateful to have been here. From Punxsutawney, this is Phil Connors. So long.
Thank you for the sub, Maniac. Got to run in the store. Have an easy job, dude. Easy day of work. Punxsutawney agrees, I'm sure. Run like the wind. Run, Forest. I don't work. The wife just wants to shop for some reason. Ah. Get her some armor plating, man. She needs some armor plating. It's for the role, getting character. There is a delicious garden. I never saw such a garden, large and shady, full of box-bordered paths and lines with long grape-covered arbors, with seats under them. There were greenhouses too, but they are all broken now. There was some legal trouble. I believe something about the heirs and co-heirs. Anyhow, the place has been empty for years. That spoils my ghostliness, I'm afraid. But I don't care. There is something strange about the house. I can feel it. Squeaky chair, squeaky chair. Love those emotes. Yeah. Come back to Trevor, man. Thank you for the rose. Ooh, roses. Thank you. And another one. Thank you. It's for the event. I had no idea. It's something for I wanted to say Halloween. It's Valentine's. Something for Valentine's, I'm sure. Oh, thank you for the roses. Maniac. Flowering me with petals, are you, maniac? I even said it to John one morning evening, but he said that I felt like a draught and shut the window. I even said it to John one moonlight evening, but he said that I felt was a draught and I shut the window. I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never get to be so sensitive. I think it's due to his nervous condition. But John says if I feel so, I shall neglect proper self-control, so I take pains to control myself, before him at least, and that makes me very tired. I don't like our room a bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened up to the piazza and had roses all over the window. Roses. And such pretty old-fashioned quince hangings. But John would not hear of it. He said there was only one window and not room for 2 beds, and no near room for him if he took another. He is very careful and loving and hardly lets anyone stir without special direction. I have a schedule prescription for each hour in the day. He takes care of all of them for me, and so I feel basically ungrateful not to value it more. He said we came here solely on my account, that I was to have perfect rest and all the air I could get. Your exercise depends on your health. Your exercise depends on your strength, my dear, said he, and your food somewhat your appetite. But the air you can absorb all the time. So your exercise depends on your strength, my dear, said he, and your food somewhat on your appetite. But air you can absorb all the time. So he took the nursery at the top of the house. It is a big airy room, the whole floor nearly with windows that took all ways, and air and sunshine galore. It was nursery first, and then playground and gymnasium. I should judge, for the windows are barred for little children, and there are rings and things in the wall. The paint and the paper look as if boys' school had used it. Boys' school? It was stripped off. The paper is in great patches all around the head of the bed, about as far as I can reach, and in a great place on the other side of the room low down. I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin. It's dull enough to confuse the eye in following, pronounced enough to constantly irritate and provoke study, and when you follow the lame, uncertain curves for a little distance, they suddenly commit suicide, plunge off at outrageous angles, destroy themselves in an unheard of contraction. That's wallpaper for you, man. It's quite a description. Said some else stuff. Rosie, animated Rosie. Yes, I'm saying something. I want to see your face. Oh. Thank you for the fires, Mystic. Be right back now. Okay. Me face? Why would you want to see my ugly face? It's better in the imagination, I'm sure. The color is repugnant, almost revolting, a smouldering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by slow turning sunlight. By the slow turning sunlight. It is a dull, lurid orange in some places, a sickly sulphur tint in another. No wonder the children hated it. I should have hated it myself if I had to live in this room alone. There comes John, and I must put this away. He hates to have me write a word. We have been here 2 weeks, and I have felt like writing before, since that day. I am sitting by the window now, up in this atrocious nursery, and there is nothing to hinder my writing as much as I please, save lack of strength. John is away all day, and even some nights when the cases are serious. I am glad my case isn't serious, but these nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him. Of course, it is only nervousness. It does weigh on me so not to do my duty in any way. I mean to be such a help to John, such a real jest and comfort, and here I am a comparative burden already. Nobody would give what an effort it is to do what little I am able to dress and entertain and other things. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby, such a dear baby. And yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so much about this wallpaper. At first he meant to repair the room, but afterwards he said that I was letting it get the better of me, and that nothing was worse for a nervous patient than to give way to such fancies. He said that after the wallpaper was changed it would be the heavy bedstead, and then the barred windows, and then the gate, and the head of the stairs, and so on. You know the place is going to be good. You know the place is doing you good, he said. Really, dear, I don't care to renovate the house just for a 3-month rental. Then do let us go downstairs, I said. There are such pretty rooms there. Then he took me in his arms and called me a blessed little goose, and said that he would go down to the cellar if I wished, and I have whitewashed into the bargain. But he is right enough about the beds and the windows and things. It is an airy and comfortable room as anyone might wish, and of course I did not want to be silly as to make him uncomfortable just for a whim. I am really getting quite fond of the big room, all but that horrible paper. Out of one window I can see the garden, whose mysterious deep shades arbors, the riotous old-fashioned flowers, the bushels, and the gnarly trees. Gnarly trees. And gnarly trees. Out of the other I get a lovely view of the bay and a little private wharf belonging to the estate. There is a beautiful shaded lane that runs down there from the house. I always fancy I see people walking in these numerous paths and arbors, but John has cautioned me not to give way to fancy in the least. He says that with my imaginative power and habit of storytelling, a nervous weakness like mine is sure to lead to all manner of excited fancies, and that I ought to use my will and good sense to check the tendency. So I try. I think sometimes that if I were only well enough to write a little, it would relieve the press of ideas and rest me. But I find I get pretty tired when I try. It is so discouraging not to have any advice and companionship about my work. When I get really well, John says we will ask Cousin Henry and Julia down for a long visit. But he says he would as soon put fireworks in my pillowcase as to let me have those stimulating people about now. Fireworks in the pillowcase. I wish I could get well faster. But I must not think about that. This paper looks to me as if I knew what a vicious influence it had. There is a recurrent spot where the pattern lolls like a broken neck, and 2 bulbous eyes stares at you upside down. I get positively angry with the impatience of it and the everlastingness. Up and down, sideways they crawl, and those absurd unblinking eyes are everywhere. There is one place where 2 breaths don't match, and the eyes go up all and down the line, one a little higher than the other. I never saw so much expression in an inanimate thing before, and we all know how much expression they have. I used to lie awake as a child and get more entertainment and terror out of blank walls and plain furniture than most children could find in a toy store. Firework pillowcase sounds like a blast. Mega blast. I bet this author here wrote this whole damn story looking at a wall. I remember what a kindly wink the knobs of our big old bureau used to have, and there was one chair that always seemed like a strong friend. I used to feel that if any of the other things looked so fierce, I could always hop into that chair and be safe. The furniture in this room is no worse than inharmonious, however, for we had to bring it all from downstairs. I suppose when this was used as a playroom, they had to take the nursery things out, and no wonder. I never saw such ravages as the children have made there. The wallpaper, as I said before, is torn off in spots and is sticketh closer than the brother. Sticketh closer than the brother? Than a brother? And it sticketh closer than a brother. They must have had persistence, as well as hatred. When the floor is scratched and gouged and splintered, the plaster itself is dug out there and here. And this great heavy bed, which is all we found in the room, looks as if it had been through the wars. But I don't mind it one bit, only the paper. There comes John's sister, such a dear girl as she is, and so careful of me. I must not let her find me writing. She is a perfect and enthusiastic housekeeper, and hopes for no better profession. I very believe she thinks it is the writing which made me sick. But I can write when she is out, and see her a long way off from the windows. There is one that commands the road, a lovely shaded winding road, and one that just looks off over the country, a lovely country too, full of great elms and velvet meadows. This wallpaper has a kind of sub-pattern in different shade, a particular irritating one, for you can only see it in certain light, and not very clearly. But in the places where it isn't faded, and where the sun is just so, I can see a strange, provoking, formless sort of a figure that seems to sulk about behind that silly and conspicuous front design. There's the sister on the stairs. Oh boy, there's going to be someone in the wallpaper. Someone in the wallpaper. Well, the 4th of July is over. The people are gone and I am tired out. John thought it might do me good to see a little company, and so we just had Mother and Nicole and the children down for a week. Nelly and the children down for a week. Of course, I did not do a thing. Jessie sees to everything now. But it tired me all the same. John says if I don't pick up faster, we shall send to Ware Mitchell in the fall. But I do not want to go there at all. I had a friend who was in his hands once, and she says he is just like John and my brother, only more so. Besides, it is such a undertaking to go so far. I do not feel as if it was worthwhile to turn my hand over for anything, and I am getting dreadfully fret and querulous. I cry at nothing, and cry most of the time. Of course I do not when John is here, or anybody else, but when I am alone. And I am alone a good deal just now. John is kept in town very often for serious cases, and Jenny is good and lets me alone when I want her to. I walk a little in the garden or down that lovely lane, just on the porch under the roses, and lie down up there a good deal. I am getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper. Perhaps because of the wallpaper, it dwells in my mind so. I lay here on this big immovable bed, it is nailed down, I believe, and follow that pattern about the hour. It is a good gymnastics, I assure you. I start, we'll say, at the bottom, down in the corner over where it has not even been touched, and I determine for the 1000th time that I will follow the pointless pattern to some sort of a conclusion. I know a little of the principle of design, and I know this thing was not arranged by any laws of radiation, or alternation, or repetition, or symmetry, or anything else that I had ever heard of. It is repeated, of course, but by breaths, but not otherwise. Looked at in one way, each breath stands alone. The bordered curves and the flourishes, a kind of debased Romanesque, with delirium tremens, go waddling up and down in isolated columns of fatuity. Delirium tremens, I think that's the thing you get if you're like a drunk, right? You get the delirium shakes if you drink too much. Oh, lovely seashell for us. Who doesn't like some? But get out of the way, fishies. Lovely gems. Lovely gems. But on the other hand, they connect diagonally, and the sprawling outlines run off in great slanting waves of optical horror, like a lot of wallowing seedweeds in full chase. The whole thing goes horizontally too, at least it seems so, and I exhaust myself in trying to distinguish the order of its going in that direction. They have used an horizontal breath for a frieze, and that adds wonderfully to the confusion. There is one end of the room where it almost is intact, and where, when the cross light fades and the low sun shines directly upon it, I can almost fancy radiation after all. The interminable grotesque seems to form around a common center and rush off in headlong plunges of equal distraction. It makes me tired to follow it. I will take a nap, I guess. This is like death. He takes a nap. Looks at the wall, takes a nap. That's like a perfect day. I do not know why I should write this. I do not want to. I don't feel able. And I know John would think it absurd. But I must say that I feel and think in some way it is such a relief. But the effort is getting to the greater. But the effort is getting... Excuse me. But the effort is getting to be greater than the relief. Half the time now I am awfully lazy and lie down ever so much. John says I mustn't lose my strength, and has me take cod liver oil and lots of tonics and things, to say nothing of ale and wine and the rare meat. That sounds awesome. Ale, wine and meats, tonics. Get yourself a gin tonic and you'll be better. Dear John, he loves me very dearly and hates to have me sick. I tried to have a real earnest, reasonable talk with him the other day and tell him how I wish he would let me go and make a visit to Cousin Henry and Julia. But he says I won't be able to go, nor able to stand it after I got there. And I did not make out a very good case for myself, for I was crying before I had finished. Oh. That's not very... I mean, crying can be convincing. It is getting to be a great effort for me to think straight. Just this nervous wickedness, I suppose. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and just carried me upstairs and laid me on the bed and sat by me and read to me till it tired my head. He said I was his darling and his comfort and all he had, and that I must take care of myself for his sake and keep well. He says no one but myself can help me out of this, that I must use my will and self-control and not let my silly fancies run away with me. There is one comfort. The baby is well and happy, and does not have to occupy this nursery with this horrid wallpaper. If we had not used it, that blessed child would have. What a fortunate escape! Why, I wouldn't have a child of mine, an impressionable little thing, live in such a room for worlds. I never thought of it before, but it is lucky that John kept me here after all. I can stand it so much easier than a baby, you see. Of course, I never mention it to them any more. I am too wise. But I keep watch of it all the same. Such a cheery melody for this for this woman going insane. There are things in that wallpaper that nobody knows but me, or ever will. Behind that outside pattern, the dim shapes get clearer every day. It is always the same shape, only very numerous, and it is like a woman, stooping down and creeping about behind the pattern. I do not like it a bit. I wonder, I begin to think, I wish John would take me away from here. It is so hard to talk to John about my case, because he is so wise, and because he loves me so. But I tried it last night. It was moonlight. The moon shines in all around, just as the sun does. I hate to see it sometimes, it creeps so slowly, and always comes in by one window or another. John was asleep, and I hated to wake him, so I kept still and watched the moonlight on that undulating wallpaper till I felt creepy. The faint figure behind seemed to shake the pattern, just as if she wanted to get out. I got up softly and went to feel and see it if the paper did move. And when I came back, John was awake. Oh, hey, Fart. How are you, sir? We've been reading a little short story. Had a little break from the Russians. I'm not sure if you were here when I was reading the Russian, The Idiot from Dostoevsky, but yeah. I usually read a bit and then play a bit. I think you were here only for the tropical part. What is it, little girl? He said. Don't go walking about like that. You'll get cold. I thought it was a good time to talk, so I told him what I really was, not gaining there, and that I wished he would take me away. Why, darling, said he, our list will be up in 3 weeks, and I can't see how to live before. The repairs are not done at our house, and I cannot possibly leave town just now. Of course, if you were in any danger, I could and would, but you really are better, dear. Whatever you can see it or not, I am a doctor, dear, and I know. You are gaining flesh and color, your appetite is better. I feel really much easier about you. I don't weigh a bit more, said I. Nor as much, and my appetite may be better in the evening when you are here, but it is worse in the morning when you are away. Bless her little heart, said he with a big hug. She shall be as sick as she pleases. But now let's improve the shining hours by going to sleep, and talk about it in the morning. Why the fishes are sometimes in a kind of cut box thing. They are like detected for missiles to hit them. Yeah, it's a... Ah, there. Whoops. It's actually my thing. It's a game. And that's the reticule. You can I totally forgot about it. You can select different dudes. Or none at all. Let's see what we got for today. Some Insta-grow, some eggs, and some Insta-hatch. Yeah. It kind of ruins the effect, right? That reticule. Derp. I sort of cut away the margins of the game and just let the thing where it's the fishing bowl itself and only the fishies and stuff to make a nice background for my derpy reading. But yeah. The paper thing? Be sus though? Paper suspect. Yeah, it's a story about a woman going slowly insane because of the wallpaper. And you won't go away? I asked gloomily. Why, how can I, dear? It is only 3 weeks more, and then we will take a nice trip a few days while Janine is getting the house ready. Really, dear, you are better. Better in body, perhaps, I began and stopped short, for he sat up straight and looked at me with such a stern, reproachful look that I could not say another word. My darling, said he, I beg you, for my sake and for our child's sake, as well as for your own, that you will never for one instant let the idea enter your mind. There is nothing so dangerous, so fascinating, to a temperament like yours. It is false and foolish fancy. Can you not trust me as a physician when I tell you so? So of course I said no more on that score, and we went to sleep before long. He thought I was asleep first, but I wasn't. I lay there for hours trying to decide whether that front pattern on the back and the back pattern really did move together or separately. On a pattern like this, by daylight, there is a lack of sequence, a defiance of law, that is a constant irritant to a normal mind. The color is hideous enough and unreliable though, and infuriating enough, but the pattern is torturing. You think you have mastered it, but just as you get well underway in following, it turns back, somersaults, and there you are. It slaps you in the face, knocks you down, and trumpets upon you. It is like a bad dream. The outside pattern is a flourish arabesque reminding one of fungus. Ah, the fungus among us. If you can imagine a toadstool in joints, an interminable string of toadstools, budding and sprouting in endless convulsions, why, that it's something like that. That is, sometimes. There is one marked particularly about this paper, a thing nobody seems to notice but myself, and that is that it changes as the light changes. When the sun shoots through the east window, I always watch for that first long straight ray. It changes so quickly that I never can quite believe it. That is only why I watch it always. The moonlight, by moonlight, the moon shines in all night. When there is a moon, I wouldn't know it was the same paper. At night, in any kind of light, in twilight, candlelight, lamplight, and worst of all, by moonlight, it becomes bars. The outside pattern, I mean, and the woman behind it is as plain as it can be. I did not realize for a long time what the thing was that showed its behind. That dim sub-pattern, but now I am quite sure it is a woman. By daylight she is subdued, quiet. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps her so still. It is so puzzling. It keeps me quiet by the hour. You speak German accent? Nah, it's Romanian, dude. I'm a Romanian guy. So it's probably a Romanian accent. East European. Vampires and stuff. Think of that. That's where I come from. The vampires of Dracula and the dragons of lots of books, but you know, Harry Potter and stuff. I lay down ever so much. John says it is good for me, and to sleep all I can. Indeed, he started the habit by making me lie down for an hour after each meal. It is a very bad habit, I am convinced. For, you see, I do not sleep, and that cultivates deceit. For I do not tell them I am awake. Oh no. The fact is, I am getting a little afraid of John. He seems very queer sometimes, and even Janine has an inexplicable look. It strikes me occasionally, just as a scientific hypothesis, that perhaps it is the paper. I have watched John when he did not know I was looking, and I came into the room suddenly on the most innocent excuses, and I have caught him several times looking at the paper. And Janine too. I caught Janine with her hand on it once. I imagine getting crazy just seeing the wallpaper. Yeah, buddy. She did not know I was in the room, and when I asked her in a very quiet voice, with the most restrained manner possible, what she was doing with the paper, she turned around as if she had been caught stealing, and looked quite angry, asked me why I should frighten her so. It is my wallpaper, damn it! Stop looking at my wallpaper! Be wise, kid. Thank you, dude, for the fire. Thank you for the support earlier. No problem, dude. You're an awesome guy. Awesome possum. Did you not? What? Where was it? Alright. She touched the wallpaper. More like water paper. Yes. Did not that sound innocent? But I know she was studying the pattern, and I am determined that nobody shall find out but myself. Ever-changing wall pattern. Life is very much more exciting now than it used to be. You see, I have something more to expect, to look forward to watch. I really do eat better, and I am quite more quiet than I was. John is so pleased to see me improve. He laughed a little the other day, and I said I seemed to be flourishing in spite of my wallpaper. I turned it off with a laugh. I had no intention of telling him it was because of the wallpaper. He would make fun of me. He might even want to take me away. I do not want to leave now. Not until I have found it out. There is 1 week more, and I think that will be enough. I am feeling ever so much better. I do not sleep much at night, for it is so interesting to watch developments. But I sleep a good deal in the daytime. In the daytime it is tiresome and perplexing. There are always new shoots on the fungus, and new shades of yellow all over it. I cannot keep count of all of them, though I have tried consciously. It is the strangest yellow, that wallpaper. It makes me think of the yellow things I ever saw. The yellow things I ever saw? All the yellow things I ever saw. Okay. Makes me think of all the yellow things I ever saw. Not beautiful ones, like buttercups, but old, foul, bad yellow things. The bad yellow things. But it is something. I don't know. What are bad yellow things, dude? It's like the radiation thing. The radiation symbol. What are the bad yellow things? But there is something else about the paper. The smell. I noticed it the moment we came into the room. But with so much air and sun, it was not bad. Now, we have had a week of fog and rain, and whether the windows are open or not, the smell is here. It creeps all over the house. I find it hovering in the dining room, sulking in the parlor, hiding in the wall, lying in wait for me on the stairs. It gets in my hair, even when I go out for a ride. If I turn my head suddenly and surprise it, there is that smell. Such a peculiar odor, too. I have spent hours in trying to analyze it, to find what it smells like. It is not bad at first, and very gentle, but quite the subtlest and most enduring odor I have ever met. In this damp weather it is awful. I wake up in the night and find it hovering over me. It used to disturb me at first. I thought seriously of burning the house to reach the smell. Burning the house to reach the smell. But now I am used to it. The only thing I can think of that it is like, it is the color of the wallpaper. A yellow smell. Brilliant. Yellow smell. awesome. What can I say? Feet fungus, big chungus. The fungus among us. That's some yellow, dude. Wallpaper that smells yellow. There is a very funny mark on this wall, low down near the map board. A streak that runs around the room. It goes behind every piece of furniture, except the bed. A long, straight, even smooch, as if it had been rubbed all over. I wonder how it was done and who did it, and what they did it for. Round and round and round and round and round. It makes me dizzy. I really have discovered something at last. Through watching so much at night, when it changes so, I have finally found out. The front pattern does move, and no wonder. The woman behind shakes it. Sometimes I think there is a great many women behind, and sometimes only one. And she crawls around fast, and her crawling shakes it all over. Then, in the very bright spots she keeps still, and in the very shady spots she just takes hold of the bars and shakes them hard. And she is all the same trying to climb through, but nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I think that is why it has so many heads. They get through, and then the pattern strangles them off, and turns them upside down, and makes their eyes white. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would not be half so bad. I once saw a comment on a laser eye surgery. Imagine if the patient opened his eyes after the surgery and said, "Can I open my eyes now?" Ooh. That would be a bad sign. You know what they give you when they examine your eyes really carefully? That, the belladonna? That opens your irises so much, man. You can't even see that well after that, with the belladonna in your eyes. And it's, ooh, a sub. I have a sub on Trouble. Ah, Mystic, thank you for the shubby.
This is one time where television really fails to capture the true excitement of a large squirrel predicting the weather. I, for one, am very grateful to have been here. From Punxsutawney, this is Phil Connors. So long.